one heart in the center of God, one mind in the center of God. As this is accepted, cherished, and celebrated, the belief in differences can fall away. The belief in differences that have made the world of illusion can disappear. They will disappear as you accept that there is only one heart, in perfection, in the center of God. And as you accept there is only one mind, in the center of God, constantly the reflection of all that is holy, all that is innocent, all that is in union. One heart, one mind, the light of God. Nothing has ever changed that perfection. But in the belief of separation, in the belief of differences, all the ideas of differences, all of the perceptions that there are levels and degrees and different identities, has clouded the truth. And all beloveds are called to step out of the illusion with the willingness to again reclaim the truth, to reclaim the truth in awareness that there is no other, there is no different self. And in the beauty and clarity of the divine miracle, with the yes of the heart, the mind is freed from the ravages of separation that has made just a story of differences. The divine miracle of love that transforms all beloveds in divine equality as the yes is humbly uttered, held in the heart and the divine mind. The yes, the willingness to be led back to the truth that has never changed, but through fear was abandoned, through shame and guilt was abandoned, through self-hatred was abandoned. Now is the moment for love to shine and radiate into the heart and the mind the truth of freedom, the truth of pure equality as one, divine union that has never been altered, just returning to what has always been. the joy emerges from its cocoon of sleep, awakens the heart, the one heart of all life itself. In this moment, finding the willingness to surrender this day, to surrender this life, to surrender every lifetime in all the different forms that you have walked in, all the different identities that have given you the illusion of being something separate. All now surrendered with this day into the purity of love. And as you surrender this day, the willingness to surrender all that you thought you knew about it, all the personal thoughts, private thoughts, separate ideas, separate conclusions, separate analysis, separate assessments, all surrendered, thrown into the bonfire of love. And union to be accepted. One thought, love. One thought, God. One thought, innocence. One thought, perfection. To forgive this day from all that has been made against the truth in any way, all personal thoughts that have come from the base of fear, the base of habit, now joyfully surrendered. Opening to the honesty that all differences that have been made up in the personal thoughts can now be completely let go. The willingness of the heart that love is always just being. The willingness of the heart to allow this use of time to be used only for love. Gladly surrendering the temptations of the past to battle for a separate identity. Gladly surrendering the perception of defense that has no validity. The willingness to truly accept deeply there is nothing to defend. There is nothing to stand in an alone place, believing in separation. In this moment, surrendering all the energy bodies into the hands of God to be cleansed of all thoughts of separation, willing for all the energy bodies to be cleansed with the light of God, as the light of God pours through the energy bodies to cleanse what has been made in private thoughts, in separate ideas of separation. And breathing in this moment, inviting in that sacred breath to transport your awareness into harmony and peace. And breathing and allowing and surrendering the identity of a separate body into the hands of God, and all of the identity that has been made in that identity of separation. And surrendering in this moment all the bodies that have been manufactured in past lives, no longer willing to keep them as a separate identity. All of them surrendered into the union of love. All past identities that have been used to prove aloneness, separateness, now surrendered. Allowing love to lead in every moment, from this moment forward, in the holy forgiveness of love, the willingness to follow the way of love itself, to allow all the masters that have been sent by love itself to serve humanity's remembering, humbly accepting the guidance, the direction, the correction, willing, deeply willing to follow. And as this day is surrendered, surrendering the future, willing for the future to unfold in the hands of God, surrendering the mind and all of its ideas of circumstances of any kind, surrendering it all to be open to light and love, moment to moment, the light leading the way. And continuing to breathe fully and deeply with the intention of surrender. Affirming that here in the infinite circle of love we are one heart and one mind, as the light of God, and all identity disappears, and the true identity is the creation of God emerges from its hiding place behind the made-up self. As that made-up self is surrendered, the true self can be recognized, remembered, and embraced. The sanctuary is filled with love, filled with God, because it is all that exists. This universe is all love, all of God, all of light, all of eternal life, never changing, always present and accepted. There is only one presence here. It is the life force of God. The life force of God that is the true nature of every beloved returning home to the oneness. Within this life force of God, we live and move and breathe as one. Seeing no differences, accepting no differences, accepting the one, the divine, the light. One heart for all eternity, the mind of God for all eternity, filled with the truth of peace and harmony and joy as the natural state of being. Accepting and forgiving the past and all that's been made up of separation. Allowing this prayer to enter your heart in gratitude for the divine light that received this prayer to serve humanity. Allowing this prayer to be offered to every beloved as a call to love and a call to return home and follow the light. The Divine Mother, the Divine Feminine, which in truth cannot be distinguished from the Divine Father, only for the sake of kinship, is God given two elements, one of the Divine Feminine and one of the Divine Masculine, but in truth only one. As humanity returns to the oneness, all temporary perceptions of separation and differences are let go. Every beloved is the Divine Mother. Every beloved is the Divine Father. Every beloved is the power of one. Rainha da floresta, I will follow where you lead. I am going, where you lead me, I will go. A rainha da floresta, I will follow where you lead. I am going, I am going, I am going where you lead. Rainha da floresta, I am going where you lead. I will follow, where you lead me, I will go. I am going to my mother to be healed. She takes me in her arms, and to her I must go. Rainha da floresta, I am going where you lead. I am going, I am going, I am going where you lead. Rainha da floresta, I will go, oh yes I'll go. I will go on with my mother. Where she leads me, I must go. I am going to my father to be healed. I am going in the truth and to be real. I am going to my father, and it's true. Oh, my mother, lead me home. It's now up to you. Oh, my mother, I am coming to you, Father, let me be. I am coming to my mother, and my mother, let me be. I am going to be healed in the heart of love. I am going into love. Rainha da floresta is calling us home. Come, my sisters, come, my brothers, come with me, let's go. Following. Following can become the easiest element of healing when the resistance is no longer battling with following. The fear of following is a fear that has no truth, and is a fear that has been made up as a last-ditch effort to resist the melting into oneness. Recognize the fear. Recognize fear in all of its various forms, just like all the other forms that have been made in illusion. The fear that shows up as not just resistance, but arrogance. The fear that shows up as anger. The fear that shows up as caution. The fear that shows up as hesitation. The fear that shows up as the past in every way possible that it can. Letting it all go. Dropping it. Dropping it as you would drop a sword and follow. No longer willing to hold a sword in your hand in protection from love, but the willing, humble heart, humble center of truth that accepts in honesty, I must follow. I must follow. I must learn. I must surrender. And as the heart says yes, as the willingness of the center of being says yes, as the soul says yes, love will enter in the deep transformation of all life. I surrender all my thoughts to God in the highest. I surrender everything that I thought that I knew about anything. I surrender it all. And I accept the light of love, and the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the divine forest, and the earth, and the sea, all in oneness, no longer divided by ideas of separation. I'm here to remember love, and I am here to follow the master that has called me to love and to affirm love in every moment in the oneness. I've come to recognize, I'm here to recognize the truth of love in its internal and eternal pureness, willing to accept the beauty of all creation, the divine light that shines here, shines in every moment, willing and offering purification of all thoughts of the past, of separation. The eternal love of God lives here within everything, not in the form that has been made out of the belief of separation and hatred, but in the eternal light that shines here every day as you open your heart and your mind to see without prejudice the truth of love. It is a marvelous light that is always shining in the quiet, in the stillness, in the heart's song of yes. Vou ligar o meu pensamento só onde eu devo ligar. No sol, na lua, nas estrelas, na floresta, na terra, no mar. Esta estrada que estou andando, eu a mesmo mestre andou. É a estrada de Jesus Cristo, onde nós afirmamos o amor. O amor eterno tá puro, que nem todos podem falar. É quem leva-nos nas alturas para nos purificar. O amor eterno de Deus vive nas matas sombrias. É uma luz maravilhosa que ilumina todo dia. Love is waiting to offer to every beloved who has believed in separation the purification of the heart and the mind. As you truly surrender what you think you know, all of the identity that you have made in the name of a separate self, with the idea that you would somehow conquer with this separate self, an idea of being less than God, less than the light of God. Within this, everything is called to just be surrendered so that the light of God can truly purify what you offer, letting it go, letting it disappear from your whole history, and the history itself disappears. History is nothing more than a story of a past. There's nothing to cling to. There's nothing to attach to. And there is definitely nothing to attach to it as having been good or bad, made up by the mind that thinks it knows what history is. Opening to this present moment, the realization that there isn't anything except this present moment. And the past that has been clung to out of fear is being called to be surrendered so that you can be free and truly live in the present where love is and where life is. Surrendering the future and all of the ways that the mind has made to conjure up an idea of how things should be in order to be defended and safe. Surrendering it all to the power of God. The call is always to go so deeply into the heart and to really recognize what it is you truly want, moment to moment, to bring that divine honesty into awareness. What is it that I truly want? And when that honesty dives deep, every beloved has the same recognition: peace. Peace, because peace is truly all that there is. To be in peace is to be alive. To be peace is to be love. To be peace is to be joy. To be peace is to be the creation of God. Nothing to hold on to in separation. Separation does not exist. Only one heart, forever. Eternally one. Lousy at math. Once a group of thieves stole a rare diamond larger than a goose egg. Its value could have easily bought 1,000 horses and 2,000 acres of the most fertile land. The thieves got drunk that night to celebrate their great haul. But during the course of the evening, the effects of the liquor and their mistrust of each other grew to such an extent they decided to divide the stone into pieces. Of course, then the priceless became lost. Most everyone is lousy at math and does that to God. Dissects the indivisible one by thinking and saying, "This is my beloved. He looks like this and acts like this. How could that moron over there really be God?" Lousy at math. There's even a belief in the world that some beloveds are better at math than others. To surrender math is most helpful along with everything else. Maybe you thought you had to be a certain gender to be good at math. Maybe certain cultures are better at math in the world. All of these made up ideas of anything is just the idea of separation. There's a calling in healing to really invite the Holy Spirit to take everything of this world and let it be used only for love. But this is a learning. This doesn't take skill. This takes surrender. This doesn't take special gifts from one lifetime or another of perception of identity, but takes surrender. How is it that mistrust could then divide the precious stone into pieces, duplicating again the belief that in mistrust, everyone is individualized and given a separate identity, a separate authenticity, a separate purpose, a separate good and bad within each one. All of this made up, having no truth. It's just as insane as thinking that you can dissect the indivisible one. And that's what everyone in the world has believed in, to dissect humanity, or what has become called humanity, from the indivisible one into different identities that you either like or you don't like, or that you feel have this gift or that gift, depending on gender and age and race and culture and anything else that you can put on it. Background, heritage, genes, all of it made up, all of it fabricated to divide the indivisible one. Does anybody realize that this is actually what's occurring in the belief of being a separate self, and lauding the separate self as gifted or not gifted, instead of going past it all and the willingness to see, truly see the beloved, the light of God that is the truth and has no separation. Thinking, the thought, the mind of the ego, is where all the confusion came from. Surrendering it all into the mind of God, into the heart of God. No longer willing to say, this is what God looks like and acts like. How could that moron over there really be God? As if God has a preference to what things look like, to form that disappears constantly and changes constantly. When you believe in the body as who you are, you're basically saying that you're dying every minute. As the dead cells are constantly falling to the ground. And that when you pass out of the body, what's left? Cells. Cells that return to the earth, changing forms again. But the divine doesn't change form, except to use temporary forms to sing and dance. But always remembering the one divine spirit. That divine spirit is the equality that you're being called to recognize in every beloved, beyond the form. To truly want to see past, not with the eyes, not with the brain, with the heart. The longing within to return to God can only be facilitated in recognizing the purity of God in every beloved, not as a theory, but truly wanting to see the light of God in everything. Absolutely everything being God. The thieves thought that they knew something in that drunken stupor, and they decided to separate and divide the precious into pieces that they could understand and they could attach to and they could be right about. But to love the one is to love in divine equality. To love the one is to come home to the one. This, the mind cannot, the mind of the ego, there is no way that the mind, the intellect that the mind has made up in separation, can have any concept of oneness. Don't go to the ego mind for understanding. The awareness of love comes through the divine that is within you. The divine that is within you is waiting in the silence, waiting to be tapped. Show me the way. I will follow. Show me the way of surrender. Show me the way to truly accept every beloved as the light of God, with no differences. And let the union of love reveal itself in my willingness. This may seem like a tall order. And you may think, oh, I need to get prepared for this. No, the preparation is just letting go. It doesn't take intelligence. It doesn't take a special relationship with a particular teaching. It's the innocence of yes that anyone at any time can embrace. The ego likes to look at different elements of separation and say, no, you have to get to that place in order to be good enough in some way to accept and melt into the heart of God. The yes of the acceptance of innocence, which is purity, which sees no differences, is always available, always, to everyone. a heart of devotion, a heart that's willing to let go of what it thinks it knows of the past. Everyone has exactly the same opportunity, has exactly the same purpose and the same relationship with God, because it's only one relationship. It's oneness. I remember when I was first called spiritually, and everyone remembers that in their own journey. It's all the same. But I remember thinking erroneously, just as these thieves were thinking erroneously that they could figure things out for themselves. I remember thinking, oh, there's so many beloveds here that are so spiritually aware, that have studied for such a long time. What do I know? And that's how the ego plays its game. The ego plays its game by saying, not me. The ego also plays this game by thinking, oh yeah, it is me because I'm the one who studied the hardest. It's all made up. All made up. The beloved who has put in the time to spiritual study, spiritual identity, can be sitting right next to a beloved who hasn't but just a moment ago said yes. And there's absolutely no distinction between the two to remember the truth of God. No distinction. The mysteries of healing are mysteries because the mind that has been made up of separation cannot conceptualize anything to do with healing. It's not possible. It is a mystery. But as much of it is that it's a mystery and you can't pinpoint it and you can't wrap your mind around it and you can't figure it out like a formula of something that's been made in the temporary world, all you have to do is accept and follow. And that's really all you can do, is to take the divine teachings that have been so preciously offered and accept all of the divine beings that have no limitation of their offerings, and to accept them all. Open, to want to open, to be shown the way. And in that quiet and in that yes, everything will be revealed in its helpfulness. Do we have to follow in the journey? Did I have to follow in the journey? Absolutely. Did I follow and trust a power that was beyond my comprehension? Yes, I had to follow. Did I have to follow and trust? Yes, I had to follow and trust something that I did not know and could not know it. There was nothing in this made-up mind that could know or comprehend anything but trust. Faith was in the willingness and choice, the one freedom that was here in the separation. Did I have to choose again and again and again? Yes. Did I want, and was I tempted to leave it all? Yes. Were there strategies that played games with the mind? Yes. Absolutely. And when the Holy Spirit was shining the light on the darkness that I believed in, on the battlegrounds that I believed in, did I have to hold on to trust and faith? Yes. Did I question the revealing of that darkness and the revealing of that hatred that was within? Yes. Did I have to come back to trust 1,000 times? 10,000 times? Yes. Not because God needed me to surrender 10,000 times, but because my resistance was such that I kept needing to resurrender because I battled. I battled with fear. I battled in fear. I believed in fear. I was loyal to fear. I was dedicated to fear, dedicated to it, devoted to fear. Surrendering what I thought I knew was a constant choosing, coming empty, moment to moment, empty again, and empty again, and empty again. And empty again until there was nothing left to empty. But yes, could I have been healed in a moment? Yes. If it wasn't for the brain that I thought I had and the ideas that I thought were valid and the fear that ran them all. But to hold at the center the promise of God that is constantly whispering to you that in this world everything can be healed. Because everything in this world will be healed because it's nothing. It's a dream. It's a temporary identity that has no reality. Can we understand that? No. Is it even worth any time of spending to contemplate this mystery? No. Can't be understood with the mind that's been made up in the belief of separation. Will it hurt the brain? Yeah. Because it can't be understood. To accept, to trust, to put your faith in the teachings of love, in the calling to oneness. That's what you follow. I will follow the calling home. I will follow. I will listen. I will drink every teaching, not just bringing it into a concept in the mind so that it can be repeated, but to accept it into every cell, into every element of truthfulness, and to invite it in for transformation, to truly accept it for transformation, to take every prayer that has been offered through the masters of love and the willingness to be guided moment to moment. Show me the way. As a humble learner would, if you were walking into a cave and you had no light and you had not walked in that cave before, that you would not come up with the arrogance of saying, I got this. I know the way. I'll figure it out. And then you spin in the darkness, stumbling over your own feet, running into walls that you didn't know were there, when that the whole time you could have had a generous guide holding the light for you and even gently saying, careful now, this is a deeper step. Come this way. Walk in this direction and we'll pass by all of the garbage from that year of time. We'll bypass the roads that are under construction down here in this cave. I'll lead you into the light that is waiting. After you leave the darkness of separation. Love is always wanting to lead. But the temptation to be thinking, this is God, I know he looks like this and acts like this. How can this moron over here be God? That's the game that the ego likes to play. And that's what delays healing. Instead of joyfully accepting the gratitude of this lifetime, that you can return home. Now, this life, this exquisite moment where love is all revealed, not because you earned it, you just said yes. With humility in your heart. You didn't make up or want to make up stories anymore about concepts of a separate self. Things that you thought you knew or were valid or legitimate. Instead, I will follow. I will follow. There is a beautiful teaching that is so pure. There's so many beautiful teachings that are so pure. To hold in your heart, to hold in your awareness, I don't perceive my own best interests. I don't perceive my own best interests sounds like it would be saying, oh, you're a failure. You don't perceive your own best interests. But it's completely upside down from that. To recognize that you don't perceive your own best interests is to recognize that you need a guide to lead you. It's an acceptance of the illusion of insanity that you no longer want. I don't perceive my own best interests. How could I? When we are living in the world, how can we perceive our own best interests when we've made an entire world, an entire system of illusion that's filled with hatred and separation? That is the glorious place of, I don't perceive my own best interests, but all the masters, all of the beings of love, they do perceive our best interests because they are pure love. That pure love has no other ulterior motive. The whole illusion of separation is all about ulterior motives. It's all about trying to get. It's all about trying to prove worth. It's all about protection and defense and getting, always getting, because you believe you are without. You believe that there is something not here, and you don't even recognize what it is that you believe is not here. You believe in this lonely, empty place within. Yes, there's a longing. There's a deep longing to remember and come home. But you can't come home through getting something in the world to satisfy the ego's perception of being without. Because in truth, you're not without. God is within you. God is the center of your being. You are never without that light, even if it's completely hidden from your awareness. And that's why we have to see and open our hearts to see the divine in everything, because then we recognize it in ourselves. The relationship with specialness, giving one thing more value than something else, or one beloved more value than someone else, giving people roles and identities and purposes. It's just a way of separating and always being on the hunt to get what you think is missing. And to keep proving to yourself that you are separate and without. But in truth, you aren't. And to accept that you don't perceive your own best interests is the dawning of the light. It's the dawning of the light. It's the humility that's able to say, oh, I do need a guide. Of course I need a guide. How could I go to the center of the universe with God without guidance? Somebody has to hold my hand and lead me. I don't know the way. show me the way. And when you accept, show me the way, all of creation in its awakened light of love answers that call. You are never without the guidance. You can refuse the guidance, for sure. You can refuse the guidance. Moment to moment, you can refuse the guidance. Every single time you have a reaction, an impulse, an idea, an opinion, every single time, that opinion, that impulse, that reaction, that place of fear is saying, no, I'm trusting in my own knowing. You don't recognize it as that because it's not what the ego wants you to recognize. The ego wants you to think that, of course, you've got your own mind. You can make up whatever you want. There's no love there. Let love guide you. Love is in your service. Through all divine beings, love is in your service. Love is so happy to serve. So grateful to be called upon. If you open into the stillness, into the quiet, into that divine humility of love, you can hear, not with your ears, but you can hear. You can hear in the divine vibration of love all the divine beings that are filling the universe and wanting to serve you. Some beloveds are closely vibrational to certain realms of divine beings. It's not because one is more or less than another. It's just a certain resonance that you can open to at a certain time. And it doesn't mean that all the others are closed to you. It's part of the mysteries. At one point in healing, I was very open to the angelic realms. Why was I open to the angelic realms rather than other realms? Only because when I was shown that that's where the vibration was the easiest for me to connect with without being overwhelmed by fear. That it felt the most comforting in the moment. I didn't hang on to the angelic realm. I didn't say, okay, this one's mine. I'm going to now identify with the angelic realm. It was a temporary communion to soothe the fears, to be able to enter more deeply into all the realms with all divine beings, so that the fear wouldn't close the doors of all the help that was always being offered. No one is unavailable except through choice to all the divine beings that are always offering help. And these divine beings, they come in every single possible beautiful vibration. There's the elementals of the earth level, divine beings that serve the earth plane and move through. And can you connect with them? Of course. Of course. Not for an experience, not for an identification. Hey, I connect with these beings in this one form and that makes me something special. No. It's for the divine communion of remembering. It's to be held sacredly, quietly, lovingly in the heart. The willingness to open and then realize that this body that you're being housed in temporarily, it isn't who you are. You're one with every element. You're one with every divine being in every single level. You are one with all of these divine beings. There is no separation. Again, the mind can't fathom this. It can't conceptualize. It can't enter into this divine awareness, but the divine awareness is there for you. It's not there to make entertainment, which many beloveds do use it for entertainment because of the temptation of the ego that wants to have another identity, wants to make now a spiritual identity instead of a human identity, but it's all the same. It's letting go of all identity and just opening and allowing all the teachings, all the learning of the divine in all of its facets, in all of its realms, opening to it all and serving love through all of that deep, holy communion. So that you can realize that this little life is an delusional little life. But you are the divine life of all creation, not the you that you think you know, but the divine you, the I am. The I am that has no limitation, no restrictions, and is not at the effect of anything because there's no opinion needed for anything. Everything is love. This is not la-di-da idea. This is the truth. There is only love. And you are being called to enter into that love by letting go of what you think you know. Just letting it go and opening. How can I open my heart, dear God? How can I learn to open my heart? I'll show you the way. Love always answers. You're not expected to know how to open the heart when you've never opened the heart in all the lifetimes that you've walked in the belief of separation. You're not expected to know how to open the heart. Your mind may be saying, yeah, you should know how to do this. No. That's why love is always wanting to teach and to show the way, because how could we possibly know? How could we go from this little life of being a body, of being an identity, of being in the belief of limitation and separation, and come up with a concept of being the light of God? Show me the way. Show me the way to surrender everything I thought I knew of the past. Show me how to embrace every beloved, moment to moment. And all of the teachings, when you ask, show me the way, all the teachings that you have been embracing from every written teaching, from every spoken teaching, from every moment of divine hymns, it doesn't matter what form that they've come in. All of them are in your entire divine system. And those divine teachings will come forward and reveal themselves just when you need it. That's the grace. That's the blessing. That's the miracle. As soon as you say, help me, a divine teaching shows up into your awareness. Where did that come from? Did you do something to bring that forward? Yes, you did. You said, yes, help me. And all of the teachings that are needed come forward and show up for you. This is the grace, the light, the beauty, the exquisite perfection of healing that is always, always available. Is it a full-time job? Yes, it is. It's the realization that, oh, all of those other things that I thought I was going to do and be and figure out and prove, they're all falling away. And the realization of my true purpose of remembering is becoming clear, becoming so deeply embedded in my awareness that I'm not looking for anything else anymore. I am here to remember. That's my purpose. And once you recognize that purpose, instead of believing that it's to become something so that you have something on your tombstone, prove your worth in some way that can never be proved. There is a happiness that comes with the realization of your divine purpose. There is a recognition deep within of your divine purpose. It's not arrogance to recognize your divine purpose. It's humility. It's a humility that is aware, finally, that's why I'm here. I incarnated into this life to remember. I incarnated into a body identity because I believed I was separate. But now, through the grace of God, I'm recognizing what this is all for. It's all for remembering. It's all for coming home. Coming home and not caring anymore that you're lousy at math or lousy at anything or good at anything. It isn't like all of a sudden you got, I'm finally good at something. No, it's just an inner sweetness of the heart that recognizes I'm coming home. And the longing for God is leading the way. And all of creation, all of heaven, all of the divine truth of oneness is serving that yes, that willingness. You are so loved. You are adored. You're cherished beyond measure, beyond comprehension. You are cherished. Not as you for doing something as an identity, but for your divine being, because you are the creation of God, returning home. That is the sacred union of this temporary life within the illusion, is that recognition with all beloveds that everyone is returning home. And every beloved has the choice to delay it. can't change the outcome of. The guarantee is that everyone will remember. But it can be delayed, or it can be more fully accepted. That's the choice. The choosing moment to moment. What do you truly want? And remembering what it is that you truly want. That you want peace. That you want your heart to be open and return home. And rest. Rest in the truth. Rest in the honesty. Rest in that love that is all that there is. How can I be alone when God is always with me and in me? Let that truth sing in your heart always as you walk in the journey, to accept that God is always with you and in you. Nothing else exists. Here is one heart, one divine mind of God. And all that's happening is a letting go of all that's been made up, all the lies that have been made up in the name of separation, all the belief in pain and suffering and death, all the belief in differences that make up the belief of separation and death. The freedom to be the Divine Mother and the Divine Father. The freedom without limits, without restrictions, without end, forever. One.